Week 19 of the fantasy basketball season, and here's a few guards I look to sell and trade this week. So right now with the trade deadline in most fantasy leagues this week here, this is the last time to trade for players or trade guys off your roster. You don't want the first guard, Immanuel Quickley of the Toronto Raptors. So Quickley, obviously, last season coming second in the Sixth Man of the Year award behind Malcolm Brogdon when he was with the New York Knicks. But earlier in the season, him and RJ Barrett got traded from the Knicks here to the Toronto Raptors. Foji Anunoby, Malachi Flynn, and Precious Achiuwa. But anyway, on the season for Quickley, 16.1 points a game, 3.4 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 2.5 threes a game, and 43% from the field. But the last couple weeks here, he's had some numbers is Quickley, 21.5 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 1.3 steals, 4 threes, and 45% from the field. So we know this Toronto team, they've turned the roster over this season here, trading away, like I mentioned, OG Anunoby, trading Pascal Siakam, and now RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley are big parts of this Raptor team. But Scotty Barnes being out definitely has bumped up the numbers here for Quickley. So Quickley last season, like I said, he had a great year, second in Sixth Man of the Year voting, but I just don't see him keeping it up at this high pace. We saw last season in the playoffs, teams figured ways how to shut him down, and right now, well, he's on a hot tear, especially the assist for Immanuel Quickley, where he was never a big assist guy with the New York Knicks. I know he's got the ball in his hands more. I know he's getting more playing time as a starter, but the assists are definitely very surprising to me here, with 31 assists in the last 3 games, February 28th versus the Mavs, 28 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 5 threes, 55% from the field. March 1st versus the Warriors, 12 points, 5 boards, 11 assists, a steal, a block, 3 threes, 26% from the field. And March 3rd versus the Hornets, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 threes, and 42% from the field. So right now, Quickley, he's playing great basketball, no doubt about it, for this Toronto Raptor team. But right now, well, he's at peak value in my opinion, and the deadline is any day now in most fantasy leagues. He's a perfect sell high guard this week. I'm not saying to dump any of these players just for anybody, but like I said, Quickley's playing over his head a little bit here. Scotty Barnes being out has helped as well. And right now, if I could get a good wingman or a big if you need rebounding and shot blocking, this would be the time to do it. The next guard I look to sell and trade is his teammate RJ Barrett of the Toronto Raptors. RJ Barrett, he was decent with the New York Knicks, but he just was never a guy that was consistent game in and game out. But the last couple weeks, the consistency has definitely been there for Barrett. On the season, 19.4 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.6 threes, and 48% from the field. But the last couple weeks, he's on a red hot streak, 21.6 points a game, 4.4 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 2.6 threes, and 58% from the field. So right now, teams, they got to be zeroing in a little bit more on Quickley and RJ Barrett, I believe, especially with Scotty Barnes out. You know, those two guys are going to get the basketball in their hands a lot and take a lot of shots. But RJ Barrett, over the last 4 games, 55% or more shooting from the field, just not going to hold up. We know he's a guy that really can't hit that open 3 ball that well as RJ Barrett. And right now, well, he's putting up points and even hitting the 3 ball at a good clip. He's a perfect sell high guard as well. February 28th versus the Mavs, 26 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, 4 threes, 56% from the field. March 1st versus Warriors, 23 points, 2 boards, 4 assists, 2 threes, 60% from the field. And March 3rd versus the Hornets, 23 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 threes, 66% from the field. So right now, Barrett playing great basketball. And maybe the change of scenery going to a team like Toronto definitely helped him, where obviously in New York, Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle being 2 players with the most touches, and obviously the best players on that Knicks team, where Barrett was the 3rd or 4th fiddle, where right now over here in Toronto, he could be arguably the 2nd or 3rd option on the offense. But right now, well, he's playing great basketball and he's shooting very efficient, which I don't see holding up. He's a perfect sell high guard this week, and the 3rd and final guard I look to sell and trade this week. So player I've mentioned a lot this season on the sell list, and he's proven me wrong, no doubt about it, is Kyrie Irving. But right now with this Maverick team not playing all that great over the last few games here, and Kyrie Irving, we know at any moment he could just miss games out of nowhere or just decide not to play. He's a player right now, well, he's playing at a high level. I would sell high this week on the year, 25.7 points a game, 5.1 boards, 5.1 assists, 1.2 steals, 3 threes a game, of 49% from the field. But the last couple weeks here, he's bumped the numbers up a bit, 27.3 points a game, 4.5 boards, 2.8 assists, 3.5 threes, and 49% from the field. But right now, this is still Luka Doncic's team. He's the guy that's getting all the press. He's getting the triple-doubles. He's putting up the points. And I know Kyrie Irving in the past, LeBron James' shadow, he didn't like it going back to the Cleveland Cavalier days, even though Kyrie Irving, he saved them and won that finals in those last 2 games. But anyway, right now, Kyrie Irving, the second option on this team. In Brooklyn, he didn't like the way it went with whatever the front office and him and Durant. You thought it would have been a better duo over there. So Kyrie Irving, usually he's into late season. He's usually not happy with his teams. We saw it with the Boston Celtics. We saw it with the Brooklyn Nets a couple years in. And now here with Dallas, where they're not playing great basketball, losing 4 out of 5 games. Kyrie Irving, he could get disgruntled a little bit. And like I said, this is Luka Doncic's team, and he's making the headlines and putting up the big numbers, even though Irving's putting up numbers, but not on Doncic's level. February 28th at Toronto, 29 points, a rebound, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, 2 threes, 55% from the field. March 1st at Boston, 19 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, a 3, 39% from the field. And March 3rd versus Philadelphia, 28 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, a steal, 5 threes, 50% from the field. So obviously his rebounding and assisting have gone down. And like I said, Luka Doncic, pretty much every few games he's getting a triple-double, where those stats are taken away from Kyrie Irving. But 3-point shooting and scoring the basketball, he's still very efficient of. But like I said, Kyrie Irving, you just never know. So right now, well, everything seems all right with him. I would sell him off. So that's a few guards I look to sell and trade with the deadline approaching in fantasy leagues this week for week 19 of the fantasy basketball season.